On the planet Zython, the sky was as always filled with stars. Its crystal-clear lakes and lush forests greeted the night in tranquil peace. But tonight was different. A dark presence was silently gliding among the twinkling stars. Zarina, standing on the palace's expansive balcony, noticed the unfamiliar bright light in the sky. "What could this be?" she murmured. Her advisor Thaler, peering through his telescope, anxiously replied, "Your Majesty, this is not a star. It is a large ship approaching us." The palace alarm bells began to ring. As soldiers rapidly prepared, Zarina's heart raced. Trying to suppress her fear, she said, "We need to alert our people and start defensive preparations." Thaler nodded, "I'm on it," and quickly left the room. In the sky, the ship continued to grow larger. Its massive metallic structure, lights, and weapons made it clear it was a threat. Zarina remembered the promise she made when she took over the throne from her father, King Orion. "You will always protect your people." She was determined to keep that promise. In the palace's control room, Zarina gathered with her generals and advisors. They worked on holographic maps to develop strategies. General Taran said, "This ship might belong to Varron. He is known for intergalactic wars." Zarina replied, "If it is Varron, we are facing a ruthless and powerful enemy." Meanwhile, Commander Varron, clad in black armor with a cold gaze, was giving orders to his crew. "We will land on Zython and seize its resources. No resistance will be tolerated," he said. His subordinate responded, "Understood, Commander," and began relaying the orders. As Varron's ship entered Zython's atmosphere, sirens began to wail across the planet. The people panicked and ran to their homes. Children cried, and mothers gathered their children in their arms. Zarina felt their fear and gathered her courage. "I will protect them," she whispered to herself. In the square in front of the palace, soldiers gathered and lined up under Zarina's leadership. Zarina said, "People of Zython, today we will show our courage and unity. We will overcome this dark night." The soldiers shouted in unison, "For victory!" When the massive machines from Varron's ship landed on Zython's soil, the first sparks of battle were ignited. Zarina, donning her sword, said, "Be ready," and the soldiers drew strength from her determination, taking their positions on the defense line. Tonight would be the night when destiny was written for Zython. Zarina was ready to do everything in her power to protect her people and hoped to be a beacon of light in this dark night. New York City, under the heavy traffic and neon lights, Jack Thompson was having an ordinary day. The weight of his losses had settled heavily on his shoulders, and he seemed to have become lost among the crowd. Jack was sitting in Central Park, deep in thought. As he set up his portable telescope to observe the stars, memories from the past flashed before his eyes. Jack's life had been turned upside down when his wife and young daughter disappeared during a space exploration mission. Since that day, he had been trying to ease his loneliness by gazing at the stars. That evening, as he aimed his telescope at the sky, he saw an unfamiliar light. "What is that?" he muttered to himself. His curiosity grew, and Jack quickly returned home. Using his more powerful telescope and computer system, he began to analyze the light. The data shocked him. "This isn't a star, it's a ship," he said to himself. "And it's heading not to Earth, but to another planet," he added. Jack immediately reached out to his old contacts at NASA for help. Dr. Sarah Collins, a space scientist, responded to Jack's call. "Jack, it's been a long time. What's the emergency?" she asked. Jack replied, "Sarah, I've detected a massive ship in space. It seems to be heading towards the planet Zython. We need to help them." Sarah said, "Jack, this is serious. Such a ship could be a major threat." Jack responded determinedly, "Yes, but we have to do something. We can't leave them alone." NASA convened an urgent meeting to assess the situation. In the meeting room, Jack and Sarah, along with other scientists and officials, gathered together. Holographic screens displayed the ship's trajectory and size. An official said, "This isn't a regular exploratory ship. It could be a warship." Jack stated, "The planet Zython is in danger. We must stop this ship." At the end of the meeting, Jack's proposal was accepted. The Phoenix, an old space vessel, would be prepared by Jack and a few volunteer crew members. As Jack boarded the ship, Sarah said, "Take care, Jack. This is a dangerous mission." Jack replied, "Don't worry, Sarah. This is more than just a mission for me." As the Phoenix left Earth, a spark of hope ignited within Jack. After a long journey, when they arrived at Zython, they saw the signs of the surrounding battle. Jack said, "We must act immediately. We're landing on Zython." With a graceful maneuver, the Phoenix landed on the surface of Zython. Jack was mesmerized by the planet's beauty and the devastation of the war. "This planet deserves to be saved," he thought. Zarina and the people of Zython welcomed Jack and his team. Zarina looked at Jack with gratitude and said, "Welcome. We desperately need your help." Jack responded, "We will do everything we can." As a delicate sunlight faintly illuminated the sky of Zython, the tension of the battle still hung in the air. The large hall inside the palace was hosting heated discussions. Zarina, Jack, and the advisors were discussing the strategic weaknesses of Varron's ship. Holographic maps displayed the details of the enemy vessel. Jack said, "The main weapon systems are here, near the center of the ship. If we can disable these systems, we'll eliminate their greatest advantage." Zarina replied, "It will be very difficult to reach this area. It's filled with enemy soldiers and security systems." Advisor Thaler said, "Your Majesty, this is very dangerous. We need to find another way." Zarina, with determination, responded, "There is no other way, Thaler. We must take this risk." Jack said, "Let's prepare our equipment. We'll proceed with stealth to reach our objective." Zarina responded, "I trust you, Jack. We will succeed together." Jack and Zarina, along with a small selected team, began infiltrating the enemy ship through a secret tunnel. Although the tunnel was dark and narrow, the morale of the team was high. "Is everyone ready?" Jack asked. One of the team members replied, "We're ready, Commander." At the end of the tunnel, they reached the metallic walls of the enemy ship. Jack said, "Now we enter quietly. We must not trigger any alarms." Zarina replied, "Understood. Be careful." As they moved inside the ship, they encountered enemy patrols. Zarina said, "Hide, the patrol is coming." The team quickly disappeared into the shadows. After the patrol passed, they continued on their way. As they advanced toward the heart of the ship, conflicts with enemy soldiers began. Laser weapons clashed in the air, and explosions echoed through the metallic corridors. Jack shouted, "Forward! We're very close to our target." Zarina encouraged, "Be brave, we're almost there." When they arrived at the room with the main weapon systems, they faced a massive security door. Jack said, "We need to find a way to open this door." Thaler suggested, "Maybe we can disable the door through this panel." Zarina warned, "Jack, be careful. This panel might be a trap." Jack reassured her, "Don't worry, Zarina. Everything will be fine." He examined the panel, entered the necessary codes, and managed to open the door. As they entered the room, the massive weapon systems stood before them. Jack said, "We need to disable these." Zarina replied, "We must be quick. The enemy is sending reinforcements." Jack and the team members began to disable the weapon systems. Zarina, watching the conflict outside, said, "Jack, we must hurry. The enemy is coming." Jack responded, "All right, Zarina. We've cut the last connection." Just then, enemy soldiers burst into the room. The confrontation was inevitable. Amidst laser beams and explosions, Jack and Zarina fought side by side. Zarina declared, "We won't give up. Victory will be ours." Jack added, "We're stronger together. Let's make one final push." As the enemy began to retreat, Jack and Zarina, exhausted but triumphant, breathed deeply. Jack said, "We did it." Zarina responded, "Yes, Jack. We've taken a significant step for our people." As the first light of the sun illuminated the battlefield of Zython, traces of life began to reappear among the corpses and smoke on the ground. Jack and Zarina, standing in the heart of the enemy ship, took their first taste of victory while looking at a room destroyed by explosions. However, the cost of victory had been heavy. Exhaustion and the pain of losses were evident on both leaders' faces. Jack, holding his injured arm, said, "Zarina, we've succeeded, but we need to get out of here." Zarina replied, "Yes, we must return to the palace immediately. My people need me." As they advanced through the wrecked walls and smoke, they fought one last time with the remaining enemy soldiers. Zarina's sword and Jack's laser weapon moved in a coordinated dance. "Don't give up," Jack shouted, out of breath. Zarina responded, "You be careful too." When they reached the open areas where the battle had ended, Varron's remaining soldiers began to retreat. Jack said, "They know Varron has been defeated. That's a good sign for us." Zarina added, "But Varron is still a threat. We need to stop him." The people of Zython, gathered in front of the palace, welcomed their princess and new heroes with tears of hope and joy. Zarina climbed onto a high platform and declared, "My people, tonight, with your courage and unity, we have repelled the enemy." The crowd cheered, "Victory is ours." But amidst the victory, Jack suddenly collapsed to his knees. Zarina quickly ran to his side and asked, "Jack, are you all right?" Jack, feeling the weight of his injury, said, "I'm just a bit tired, but everything's fine." Zarina, unable to hold back her tears, said, "We can't lose you, Jack. You're our hero." In the medical center inside the palace, as Jack's wound was being treated, Zarina stayed with him. Dr. Leora said, "Your Highness, Jack's injury is serious, but we'll do everything we can." Zarina replied, "He is our hope. Save him." Jack opened his eyes and said, "Zarina, I'm fine. It was an honor to fight with you." Zarina, wiping her tears, said, "It was an honor to meet you too, Jack. But this isn't the end." Just then, news of Varron's escape arrived. General Taran reported, "Your Highness, Varron's ship has left the planet's atmosphere. He's fleeing." Zarina said, "We must stop him. He's been defeated, but he could come back." Jack, struggling to stand, said, "Zarina, it's my job to stop Varron. We can't let him get away." Zarina protested, "But you're injured. You can't fight again." Jack, with determination, replied, "I can do one last thing for this planet." Returning to the Phoenix with great difficulty, Jack barely managed to board the ship. Zarina gave him one last look and said, "Be careful, Jack. Come back to us." Jack responded, "I'll return with your courage, Zarina." As the Phoenix ascended into space, Zarina and her people looked up at the sky, waiting for Jack's return. Jack prepared for one final battle, targeting Varron's ship. In the depths of space, the final sparks of the battle between the Phoenix and the enemy ship began to flare. When Varron's ship was destroyed, the people of Zython understood that they had achieved a great victory. However, Jack did not return. Zarina looked up at the sky and said, "We will never forget you, Jack. You are our hero." The palace of Zython reflected the peace that followed the war. Zarina stood on the palace's grand balcony, gazing at the brightness of the stars in the sky. She had fought and won for her people, but the price of victory had been steep. Jack's sacrifice was unforgettable, both for the people and for herself. In the palace gardens, the people of Zython gathered around the monument dedicated to Jack. The monument was shaped like a hand reaching toward the sky, and was illuminated by the stars that shone every night. Zarina stepped forward and said, "Today, we have gathered here to honor the memory of a great hero." Tears welled up in her eyes. General Taran remarked, "Jack inspired us all with his courage and sacrifice. He was not just a man, but a true hero." Thaler added, "He left an indelible mark on the history of Zython." Standing in front of the monument, Zarina said, "Jack made a great sacrifice for us. His courage and determination have been a beacon of light. This monument symbolizes that his spirit will always be with us." The crowd listened silently, shedding tears. In the large hall inside the palace, Zarina and her advisers discussed plans for future peace. Dr. Leora said, "Your Highness, after Varron's defeat, we must make peace treaties with other planets." Zarina replied, "Yes, we need to forge strong alliances for the safety and prosperity of our people." General Taran said, "I am hopeful for the future. Jack's sacrifice gave us a chance for a new beginning." Thaler added, "In his memory, we will build a better future." That evening, Zarina stepped out onto the balcony again. The sky was filled with twinkling stars in Jack's memory. She stood in silence for a while. Then, with a gentle breeze, she drifted into memories. Jack's brave face appeared before her eyes. "We will never forget you," Zarina said to herself. As the night progressed, Zarina wrote a letter in Jack's memory. "Dear Jack, your courage and sacrifice have given us new hope. I am grateful to have known you, and I will always honor your memory. Under the stars, I will remember you always," she wrote and placed the letter next to the monument. In the morning, the people of Zython woke up to a new day with hope. The monument dedicated to Jack gave them a message of courage and unity. Zarina walked among her people, saying, "Together we will build our future. Jack's spirit will be with us." Every night, Zarina remembered Jack's courage and sacrifice under the stars. The tears of the stars showed that Jack's spirit was always with the people of Zython. Zarina continued to honor Jack's memory and, together with her people, took brave steps toward a new future. Jack's heroism would remain an everlasting shining star in the history of Zython. In Zarina's eyes, the stars that shone every night reflected Jack's spirit and courage. Under the stars, Zarina whispered to Jack's spirit, "You will be with us forever." I hope you had a good time. If you liked my story, do not forget to comment and subscribe to my channel. Goodbye. See you in the next story.